Five, four, three, two, one. I'm John Miglosh for the Wisconsin DMA and the International Society for Strategic Marketing. We got a special show coming up at noon today, a NMOA show for all you people who wanted to go to NMOA, but they canceled it. So I was ready to go. I would have been probably the only one on the plane, perfectly safe, get to talk to the flight assistants, probably free booze. Wash your hands, that works. It's all it has to be is more than 60% alcohol, which is only 120 proof. You know, good scotch. Anyway, so noon today, Chicago time. Tune in here, same place. I'll be on Twitch, I'll be on YouTube, I'll be on Periscope, I'll be on Twitter. But it's easy to find. But if you want to comment, I'm gonna try and stick with YouTube for a while because I haven't done it. I've done Periscope. I like Periscope. I know how to run it, but that's the way it goes. Okay, so let's dig into the news. I'm gonna get up now. I gotta run things. Okay, the Conan O'Brien show is stealing a page from my playbook and is going to do the show remote. Okay, and they say we have a staff that wants to work, that doesn't want to not get paid, and you just want to keep the business going. Amen. We need more of that spirit. I'm here alone in the I think in the office park. There were like 2 cars at my office building, and I was the third. The shows will be shot remotely on an iPhone without an audience and with guest interviews being filmed via video chat. You know what? Good for Conan. I'm not a huge fan of Conan. I just don't watch the late night comics because, they offend me. They don't seem to mind offending me. But this is the part I wanted to get to. The quality of my work will not go down because technically that's not possible. I feel the same way, I gotta say. It's just not possible. Okay, so I promised you good news. That's good news. If you're starving for late night entertainment, you can scrape the bottom of the barrel, but at least there'll be something in the barrel. Conan. Okay, more good news. I was at ESPN. I pull up ESPN just to see if anything's happening. And good news for you who love AI and simulations. The NCAA or somebody, ESPN Analytics, Seth here, decided to run a simulation of the NCAA tournament. And when I saw that, I went, oh, wow, bonus, because I knew Wisconsin was going to at least get in it. We always run up against some chainsaw or something. We beat Kentucky to get to the finals a couple of years back. Kentucky was undefeated. They were the going away favorites. Everybody picked them to win. We beat them, but then we had to play Duke, 2 days later. And they just ran out of gas. So anyway, I dialed this up. I thought, okay, let's go see what it's about. Now, here's the important part. This is a really important part. Life is like a sim, okay? There's one thing. Life is like a single sim. That's the important thing, okay? If you run the sim enough, guess who will win? It's just like that slot machine I talked about last week. If you win the sim enough, Kansas will win. Duke will get second because these little numbers get extrapolated. You run the sim 1,000 times and average the results. That is all that you will find. It will all go the way you expected. Is that the way the NCAA tournament goes? No! That's why we call it madness. It is madness. We love the madness. We love that a number 1 seed, once in a while, I think it was Villanova, kaboom, right in the trash can, gone, end of season, by some 64th seed or something. Holy smokes. Doesn't happen much, but it can happen. So, this tournament was only going to be played once. If you don't like the results, tough Shinsky, go home. That's what happens. One and done, just like March Madness. We're going to set it up. We're going to let it go, and what happens, happens. In a single simulation, that means upsets will happen. The unexpected will rear its head. And this, how does this apply to marketing, you say? At all? None? This is the way the world works, okay? Now, I've told you, when we model, we have 5 steps. 5 steps. First is machine learning. Yeah, we throw hundreds of variables in the crapper and see what comes out. But guess what? A lot of garbage comes out because we never get perfect data from the clients. Maybe the variables make no sense. And there's a lot of correlation. The bigger the data set, the more correlations you get. That's the way it works. Now, we've been ousted from Musician's Friend by a company who said to Musician's Friend, well, we ran a back test and we did just as well as Miglash did. Yeah, you know what a back test is? A back test is exactly this. We'll run it enough until it tweaks out and looks really great. Did they put it in the mail? Well, later, after we got fired, and I got a call from one of the top consultants in the country. What happened at Musician's Friend? Did they test you against these guys? The results went to garbage. Duh. Because after we let the machine go at it, then we got this guy who's been modeling for 25 years, thousands and thousands of models, and he looks at some of these variables and says, that ain't happening. That ain't right. That's baloney. Out it goes. Put in a different one. Then, just to keep him honest, so he learns a little on the way, we do a real-time validation. We usually do about 20 validations of the entire model to see if the model's prediction of what are a good variable matches the real world, matches the actual results from that mailing. We save them out so we can test them. That's the labeled data set that we get. So important, right? Then we pull it and we adjust in the pull. We let the old guy have a little shot again if he still sees stuff he doesn't like. And finally, we put it in the real world. That's the way you keep things working. Okay, so anyway, I just thought, so I searched on Wisconsin because all I cared about was how Wisconsin did. And the first round, Wisconsin beats number 13, Texas. But it's fun because both teams here were going. They're among the 16 slowest paced squads in the country, but Wisconsin's defense is a mismatch against weak North Texas offense, right? Badgers gradually extended their lead. Number 4, Wisconsin over 12, Liberty. Greg Gard's defense helps keep Liberty from making a late charge. Number 4, Sweet 16, Wisconsin over Marquette. Wisconsin defense comes through again. Hoo-hoo-hoo-hoo. Yeah, baby. Okay. Elite 8, number 4, Wisconsin over Duke. We finally beat Coach K. This could only be a simulation. We all know that. Oh, my gosh. Yes. Demetric Trice knocks down a 3 at the horn to put the Badgers over the top and win by 1. Woohoo! Final 4, baby. Okay, Wisconsin plays Maryland, and just like in January, just like when these two teams played, Davidson knocks down a 3 to put the Badgers up at the end. The Badgers have beat all these good teams. I mean, it wasn't like this was a complete miracle. Now the national championship. Woo-hoo! The Badgers have done it. The college basketball season made no sense, and Wisconsin has come out of nowhere to take the national championship. The Badgers had less than a 1% chance to pull this off. But Nate Reavers leads Wisconsin with 16 points. Gard is lauded for getting his group to play their best when it mattered most. This team is a team that did not begin the season in AP's top 25 and only barely cracked it on the last Tuesday. Not that any, because the Badgers are now simulated champions, and this is the danger of simulations. So, on another note, Tesla orders their factory workers to come to work in spite of the shelter-in-place directive. Tell TechCrunch. Tesla orders their workers show up for work. What is going on? They're killing their workers. I'm getting too excited here. I gotta take off. They're killing their workers. They're killing America by keeping their factory open. And I can tell you, the parking lots are full in the industrial park in Harlan, Wisconsin. All the factories are pumping. They're parked on the street out here. They're running full bore. I don't know what they're making because I half the time don't, but they're still going. They haven't shut down yet. Why is Tesla still going? I mean, they said if you're sick, stay home. If you're not feeling well, stay home. Okay? But what is Elon Musk doing? And you know Elon Musk is a pretty smart guy, right? You know that, right? Okay. Elon Musk says, this is from 2 days ago, Coronavirus cure. Elon Musk thinks malaria drug can help. Okay? Study released yesterday in France. Still small. 40 patients, 100% cure 6 days. COVID-19 virus dead. Okay? We're at the elbow. This news is going to come out. It may be coming out as we speak. There's a protocol discovered by one of the world's top infectious disease guys in the southern France. Something similar was used in South Korea. If you want to know the difference between South Korea and Italy, which I talked about yesterday, and it was a bigger difference than I thought. The difference between the death rate in Italy, 7%-ish plus, and Austria, right next door. And it was bad in northern Italy. Austria's just north, okay, of Italy. Austria is 0.23%. What's Italy? 7%. Which number are you going to pick for your simulation? That's the danger on simulations. Somebody wrote me and said, you don't understand exponentials. I understand exponentials. The problem with exponentials is you extrapolate exponentials. I used to try to model with nonlinear projections. And you know the trouble is that means things are going like this, right? Like a rocket. It starts off slow and then goes. Well, if just a little change happens at the beginning, rocket falls over. It doesn't even get off the ground, right? Just a little change, or it goes like crazy. And it's really hard. That beginning point, that aim, is really hard when you're playing nonlinear. Linear, you can kind of fix it up, okay? And I could get into this all day. I used to fight with John Worth, PhD in junk mail, about how there's always outliers. There's always these high points, these lists that do really well, or there's segments that do really well, and you say, well, if we just mailed only those lists, and there's lots of them that do crappy. There's this elbow. That's what I'm saying. We're at the elbow now. We're going up. We're going up. We're going to have good news. But what happens is that everybody brainlessly says, let's cut back our circulation and just mail those great lists at the very highest point. You know what happens when you mail those? You've cut your circulation by 2/3, and it still looks like that. It has the exact same shape. Can't help it. That's the way the world is. Okay? So be really careful about exponential and nonlinear projections. Get your sim down to earth. Get it tested in the real world. That's what we're talking about today. Okay? So I'm telling you, big news. This came out, this is from 2 days ago, but there was breaking news last night from France. A study's being published in a refereed journal. And the Netherlands, I have heard, and I haven't confirmed it, is changing their protocol to use this malaria drug, which is chloroquine. I don't know if it's chloroquine. Chloroquine, I believe it's pronounced. I think I pronounced it badly yesterday, or hydrochloroquine. I believe today we're going to hear that the full might of U.S. manufacturing is going to go into making more of those drugs and more of the tests and get it out. And that's kind of what the South Korean protocol was. Okay? So now, I've talked too much as usual, but it's really good news. But I want to circle back. I've been promising Steve and you all this time, 20% of all analytics projects turn out, only 20% turn out to be beneficial. Why? Well, Stephen has lots of cures, lots of thoughts, but basically he chucks it up to poor planning, asking the wrong question, and poor execution. I think it's worse than that. I think it's because there isn't enough real-world interface. One of those statistics profs I interviewed on here said, the bigger the data, the lower the p-values, meaning everything gets to correlate. Everything is correlated, even if it's spurious correlations. And when you can have everything correlate, you need a filter. You need a big, wise, practical filter. And that's why we beat the statisticians, because intellectual curiosity may not align with business interests. I was thinking last night, when have we shut down the entire economy just to be safe? And I thought back to 9/11 in 2001. 2001, they shut down all the airline traffic. I think they shut down the trains, they shut down buses, and the rental cars were overwhelmed. You couldn't get anywhere. It was really not a time to travel. And I was concerned for the travel industry back then, because we thought, okay, if there's two, and we knew there were like 5 airplanes that were targeting stuff. So we had the 2 towers, we had the Pentagon. One went down in Pennsylvania, and I think there was one more. I'm not sure. But all that aside, and I heard from an eyewitness that the one over Washington got shot down, which makes a lot of sense, I think. It actually, that whole scenario was in a Stephen King novel, I understand. It's a good place to get ideas. Anyway, so yes, it's important to get the project set up, but the biggest element missing in modeling today, especially marketing modeling, is getting it interfaced with the real world. Here he's talking about, what if you're missing data? We're always missing data. We always have imperfect data. That's part of the game. Like the NCAA, you got to run the simulation anyway. You got to mail something. You got to see what's going on. So you have to understand different disciplines. The accounting side, you have to understand the offer, you have to understand what's being sold, the merchandise, the pricing, the competitive environment, the media. There's a lot to go into this, and the biggest thing is to be valued and appreciated. Here's the big payoff. Data scientists must act as business consultants as well. So back in 2001, to wrap this up, we had a client that had been slowly shrinking for 40 years. Not a lot. They were still a pretty good sized company. And it's in my book. So we started doing modeling. We did modeling because right off the bat, they had converted to a new ERP about 5 years earlier, and they left the RFM scores alone. They froze them in time, and they kept using them to pull names. And so they were pulling tens of thousands of names that were just totally dead, and throwing them in every model or every mailing. And because they hadn't gotten another set of eyes, they were losing about $40,000-$50,000 of profit every mailing, which adds up over a year. That's like what, $400,000 a year. That pays for some modeling. So anyway, we showed them that. We blew them away, and we made I don't remember the number, probably about 75% more profit on our panel of the mailing than theirs. And so then we mailed it again, and we spotted something that was totally opposite of what they thought. In fact, it was so opposite, I went back to the computer guys and I said, I think something's wrong with our data or something. That's what that old guy does. He questions the computers. And I said, I think there's something wrong. And they rechecked, and they couldn't find anything wrong. And so I called some people that I knew that were in this tangentially in this market. And what we found was that there was a whole other market that they had not ever exploited, never really seen. Their sales through the year were pretty much level, so it was hidden. RFM hides things. A lot of your marketing analytics, your KPIs, hide things. But we uncovered it. I flew out there. I said, I think this is what's going on. I think there's a market that's 20 times bigger that you've never exploited. And so they started changing, making offers. We were very careful not to undermine, unlike Neiman Marcus or J. Jill, we didn't just stop what we were doing and do digital transformation. No, we left the real business, the core business alone. We let it go. And we were very careful not to mail the new business idea to the old businesses. We just wanted them to think of us as the expert in that field, which we were. But we wanted to go after some new people. And you can do that with mail much more effectively than digital, because I don't even really see what my neighbor in the office park here gets, right? So it's another good reason to use mail as a test vehicle. It's much harder to see what you're testing when you're mailing than it is in digital, because word gets around. You don't know where it's being seen by whom, right? So anyway, in the aftermath of 9/11, where we basically hit a recession, and it was instantly brought about because of us shutting down our government and shutting down all travel and everything. That company grew 20% in 2002. It grew 2% in 2003, and it grew 20% in 2004. That's like 60%. Remember, they hadn't grown in years. They'd just gone downhill. They changed their name. They did all kinds of stuff. And they fired us because they thought, well, they've got one good idea. And, how could they have any more? But they hired us back a couple of years later when they needed help again. My point is, simulations are very tricky. Simulations of pandemics are tricky. Simulations of March Madness are tricky. Go, Wisconsin! And when things change in the real world, do you understand that a treatment is so much more powerful than a vaccine, than a vaccination? A vaccination takes 30 days. It's in testing now. That's the fastest they've ever done it. But it takes 30 days just to do the injections. They do one, then in the middle, they do another, then at the end of the month, they do another. And then it takes about a year to evaluate it. Whereas, if we can knock the crap out of that virus for the people who've got it, and not just put them on ventilators or sit them out in the sunshine like they did with the Spanish flu, then we've got a real weapon. So the weapons are being discovered. We're in a new era of humanity where we can communicate and we can share ideas and we can move at the speed of light. Information can make you money if you know how to apply it. The next step is to build the weapons, build the tests, get the test procedures. I heard tomorrow they're shipping the first in-home test kits. Because I listened to the doctors on one of the press conferences, and they were saying, well, we have to put on a big white suit with all the mask and everything, and then we take a little Q-tip and shove it up the person's nose, and then we bring out the Q-tip, put it in a plastic bag, then we take everything off, then we put everything back on, then we can do another person. I thought to myself, that's insane. What you want to do is you want to have a big stack of these boxes where they feed down like a velocity shipping tray. You drive by in your car, you get one, just pick one, don't touch them all. Get one, put it in your car, shove it up your nose, and then drop the swab, bunk, in something that goes, whoop, vacuum seals it, sucks it out, mails it down to the test lab. That's how they work. But see, this is what we can do. We can go 100 times faster when we get some crazy creative people like Elon Musk on this thing. They've quadrupled the ventilator capacity just this week. How? They figured out a way to make one ventilator help 4 people at once. It's a little bit untested, but if you're out of ventilators, they're gonna do it, right? Did you know they just tripled the number of doctors available? How'd they do that? Did you know there were laws against online doctors practicing across state lines? Did you know there were laws against doctors traveling to other states and practicing? Yes, there were. Nothing like government health care mandates. Anyway, somebody said, this is crazy. We don't have I don't think Oklahoma has one case. I don't think Idaho has one case. West Virginia, like 1 or 2 cases. But doctors, let's get them where they're needed. Guess what? Changed. It's going to be good news. This is war. And in war, chaos is opportunity. I want you to join me at noon. We're going to talk about modeling. We're going to talk about results, real world, how to make this stuff work. Now is the time you want it. We turned a company around in the middle of 9/11's aftermath. This is when you want to change. Desperate times call for desperate measures, and here I am. Have a great day. Talk too much, way too long. Hope you enjoyed it. Have a nice time. Like and share. If you're on YouTube, hit the subscribe button and the little bell. And then you will know when we're streaming, even if you don't want to. I subscribe to about 60 things on YouTube, but I only have the little bell hit on about 4 or 5. Have a great day. I'm John Miglosh.